Speaking test, writing text 1 to test 9. The table presents data on the percentage of adults in urban and rural areas who participate in four leisure activities: reading, animated playing, and photography in the years 1990 and 2010. Overall, reading was the most popular activity in the both urban and rural areas, with participation rate increasing significantly over the two decades. In 1990 is 61% of urban and 71% of rural adults engaged in reading. By 2010, the figures had risen to 78% for both groups, indicating a strong upward trend and eventually parity in participation. Animated play showed minimal change, remaining at 10% in urban areas, while slightly decreasing from 18% to 14% in rural regions. In contrast, the percentage of adults playing in their free time declined in its urban area from 21% to 14%, but remained steady in rural area at 26%. Photography, on the other hand, experienced a notable increase in popularity in urban area. Participation more than doubled from 7% to 70%, while in rural area it rose from 40% to 24%. In summary, reading and photography grew in popularity across the both demographic, while animated play and general playing either declined or remained relatively unchanged, especially in urban regions. Writing text 2 test 9. Whether violence in criminal news ought to be curtailed in mainstream media is a contentious question. I acknowledge that extensive exposure to graphic stories can generate fear, desensitize viewers, and even inspire copycat behavior. However, I ultimately disagree that such content should be retrenched in the sense of blanket bans. Instead, responsible reporting and media literacy a preferable safeguard. To begin with, an informed citizenry is a cornerstone of democratic societies. Crime statistics and high-profile case reveal pattern: rising cyber fraud, regional spike in drug trafficking, system failure in the policing that voter and policymaker must address. Surprising, the fact would deprive the public of vital knowledge and could breed complacency of mistrust when problems inevitably surface through social media leaks or hearsay. Moreover, crime report can serve preventive and educational function. Stories that detail modus operandi such as phishing tactics or common burglary methods alert audiences to concrete precaution. Similarly, investigative pieces that spotlight miscarriage of justice often pressure institutions to reform, whether by revising laws or improving oversight. This benefit evaporate of media outlets are barred from covering disturbing material. Immediately, essentialists of coverage can inflict harm. Around the clock image of violence may heighten anxiety, especially among children, and some research link the portrayals to copycat incident. Yet these risks stem less from existence than from presentation. clear content warning, avoiding gratuitous imagery, prioritizing context over shock value, and adhering to ethical guidelines such as withholding perpetrators. Manifestor can mitigate negative impact without muzzling the press. Finally, encouraging broad restriction is fraught with practical and ethical pitfall. Who decides what crosses the line? Government imposed limit rates sliding into political censorship, while algorithmic filters are notoriously blunt, sweeping up legitimate journalists alongside sensational content. In conclusion, while unchecked, graphic crime coverage can indeed produce adverse consequences. Outright restriction are neither necessary nor wise. The more balanced approach is to promote strict editorial standard and strengthen public media literacy, ensuring citizens remain both well informed and protected from undue harm. Thank you.